There are stories we write, there are stories we read, and then there are stories that somehow find us, stories that arrive unexpectedly, stories that ask us to stop, to listen, to make room. Welcome to Up Next. I am Sarah Henderson. You're listening to TMC 105.1 FM, the best of us. This is our weekly cultural ritual, a space for the stories that shape us, the artists who challenge us, and the conversations that remained the art, or that remind us that the art is never separate from life. I do think that the most extraordinary story is not the one we create. Sometimes it is the one we are given. And sometimes the greatest act of storytelling is simply having the courage to make room. Today, we will be meeting a woman who has written stories for children and for all ages, but her own life is also a story of children, of motherhood, of unexpected beginnings, of faith, of love that kept expanding, and of the many ways one human being can make room for another. This is Up Next. There is something about a children's story. We often think of it as something simple, a beginning, a middle, an ending. A character who goes somewhere, who gets lost, who faces something frightening, and hopefully a character who finds a way home. But perhaps one of the reasons we need children's stories is because life rarely gives us stories that neatly. Life does not always begin with once upon a time. Sometimes it begins in the middle. Sometimes it begins with a loss. Sometimes it begins with a question no child should have to ask. Sometimes it begins in a place where no story should begin at all. And sometimes the story changes because someone chooses to make room. Today, I want to talk about stories, but not only the stories we write. I want to talk about the stories that enter our lives, the stories that we inherit, the stories that we are entrusted with, and the stories that ask us to become someone we never imagined we would be. Our guest today is an author of children's books, and there is something very beautiful about that. Because to write for children is to believe that stories matter. It is to believe that a child deserves to see a world beyond the one immediately in front of them. It is to believe that imagination is not an escape from reality, but one of the ways we learn to understand it. A children's author knows that a story can give a child courage. A story can help a child name a fear. A story can make a child feel less alone. A story can show a child that someone else has been frightened, confused, lost, hopeful, or brave. And at its very best, perhaps a story can make room for a child to wonder, for a child to dream, for a child to imagine a different ending. But our guest's life also takes us to something that would ask us to consider something else. What happens when the person who writes stories is also asked to make room for stories that arrive in real life? Our guest is LOLLÈTTE Alipe. She's a mother of 4. Then later she became a foster mother to 4 more children. And then one day, another baby found its home in her. A baby whose life began with a story of sadness whose story at that moment was not yet finished. And somehow this author became part of what became and came next. I think there's something extraordinary about that intersection. The woman who writes stories for children, the mother who raises children, the foster mother who welcomes children whose lives have already known disruption, the woman who encounters a baby whose story begins with being left behind. When we hear a story like this, it is easy to focus on the extraordinary act. But I think there is a deeper question. What does it mean to encounter another person's story and decide that you are willing to become part of it? Not to erase what came before, not to pretend the difficult parts did not happen, but to say your story does not end here. There is still more. And I guess that is what stories do for us. They remind us that an ending is not always the ending. Sometimes it is a doorway, the moment when a new character enters. It is the moment when someone who has been alone discovers that they are no longer on their own. And sometimes the story changes because someone has the courage to make room. And I love that phrase because making room sounds so simple. We make room at the table, we make room in a house, we make room in a schedule, but the kind of room we are talking about today is much more difficult. We make room in a family. We make room in a life that may already feel full. We make room in a heart, and sometimes we make room for something we did not plan for, something we did not expect, something we did not ask for, and yet somehow something that becomes part of who we are. That is where I think art and life meet. Artists are in many ways people who make room. A writer makes room for an idea. A playwright makes room for a voice. An actor makes room for another person's words. A musician makes room for sound. A painter makes room on a blank canvas for something that did not exist before. And a storyteller makes room for another world. LOLLÈTTE Alipe has spent a big part of her life writing. But I wonder if the act of writing has also prepared her for the act of different types of motherhood. Or perhaps it was the other way around. Perhaps motherhood taught her how to listen to stories, because every child is a story, not a blank page, a story already in progress. A child arrives with a personality, with fears, with questions, with memories, with things they may not yet have the words to tell us. And to become a parent is, in some ways, to be given the privilege and responsibility of entering that story. You do not get to write every chapter. You cannot control every plot twist. You cannot guarantee that there will be no pain, but you can be there. You can listen. You can help. You can offer a safe place to begin again. And that is why children's literature matters so much. Children are still learning how to understand the stories they are living, and sometimes a book becomes the first place where they discover that someone else understands. So today we will talk about the stories LOLLÈTTE Alipe has written, but we will also talk about the stories she has lived. Up next, LOLLÈTTE Alipe. Hi, Tita.
Sarah, can I just say that was the most brilliant introduction ever
Oh
in
my
my
God.
whole life. I was just mesmerized.
Well, coming
Really.
from you, that means a lot. You're a prolific writer, but I think more than that, you are a very beautiful human being.
Oh, thank you. Thank
You
you.
know,
You just made my day.
not just even a mother, and your children. I would say your masterpieces. They're your masterpieces.
Definitely. Yeah.
They're a testament to that.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Thank you.
but I'm actually excited to say this, that the very first time I met you, it was to have you act in a campaign, an online campaign. And I would say this is important because this is actually for Cebu. You were to act as a mother for an OFW
Yeah.
in a campaign for our airport, the MCIA, Mactan Cebu International Airport.
Yes. That was
And
an experience for me. That was my first time.
that was just a month ago, two
think so,
months
yeah.
ago, not
Yeah.
too not too far away from today. Yes, and it was so natural, Tita. It's like I would say, you're not just a writer, you're also an actor.
Oh, thank you. I guess I just channeled all those times I had to say hello to arriving children and to say goodbye to children who are leaving. So I just channeled those experiences.
Well, I've mentioned earlier, and for those who have just tuned in, Tita Lollette, our guest today, is a mother of four
Yes.
children, foster mother of four.
For-
And then you've been gifted with another baby. Well, she's no longer a baby now. She's, I believe, 16 years
She's
old.
16 years old.
Yes. So in total, let's just say you have a home with 9 children
Yes.
in it. And I guess this is, I know that there are those who have already heard the story, but each time this is shared, it's just so extraordinary. I mean, all the different circumstances and all that. So in fact, I was thinking I'd like to start off with like asking you about your books, but maybe let's start with your life as a mother. Where do we begin?
Oh my gosh. Oh, let's start from the very beginning. But it's a long story, actually. Where do we begin? Okay, I think we can begin with. Well, I'm not from here, so but
Not from Cebu.
not from Cebu. I met my husband, who's Cebuano, in Manila, and then we separated after we had 2 kids. We separated for 5 years, but God
Yes.
brought us back together, and we decided to move the whole family here in Cebu. So I had Gabby and Monica by the time we got here. And then when we settled down in Cebu in 1992, we had the other 2, say Joshua and Sarah.
Yes.
Named after you. She has the same name. So
Same
in Sarah,
name.
yes.
Sanay, sangay, as we say it. Yes.
And so we thought, okay, that's perfect. We have 2 pairs already, so we were very settled with the 4. And 4 is a big number, also.
It is. Nowadays, people
Yeah.
choose to have
Just
only
2,
one child.
1 or 2,
even.
yeah.
Yes.
So we were okay with 2. It was like Joshua was like, love is lovelier the second time around. Parang ganon style.
Yes.
And then, but little did we know that the Lord had a different direction for us. And there was a family, well, there was a teenager. Well, he's not a teenager. He was, I think, 20 already. Was part of our church. He'd bring his younger siblings to our church
Yes.
to join our Sunday school in church. And I was a Sunday school teacher. And suddenly their Italian father passed away. I met the father only once. And so we said, the women in the church said, okay, let's just, give them a memorial service because he died in Italy. So they were left alone.
So the father was in Italy when he died, and his children were here in Cebu
Cebu.
when it happened.
Yes. And unfortunately, they did not know where their mothers were. The one raising them was the father. So these were 4 children with 3 different mothers.
Okay. Yes.
So
very interesting.
Very interesting, yeah. And so
makeup,
we
yes.
thought they were okay because we met some relatives, etc. But until my younger children, Joshua and Sarah, told us na, oh, Mom, they're really having a hard time because no one's taking care of them. And so my husband and I got concerned. We checked on them, and we found out that nobody was really taking care of the children. So we took the two younger ones who were friends of Sarah and Josh. We took them in. And then the two older boys had their friends until my husband says, no, they have to, we have to keep them together. So he built another room in the house. We had a 3-bedroom bungalow at that time. And from 4 children, it became 8.
Wow.
So it was
It
like
just
an
doubled.
doubled, and it was like an eat all you can buffet every
Oh my
meal
God,
time, and they
yes.
were stacked in the rooms. So Sarah they had to make room for the girl, see,
Yes.
Savvy, and then Josh had to make room for Luigi, and then the 2 older boys, we made room, an actual room for them. I love that make room phrase of yours.
And make room you did.
And make room we did.
And
But it came with a lot of struggles also because we got in children who were already set in their ways. My husband and I have a very set values and how to discipline the children and everything. So there was a little struggle there. So, but I would have to say that one of them decided he didn't want to be part of the family because there was a little.
so that would be one of the
just
the
one out of the
challenges also
yes,
that you had to face.
Yes, because we were questioning his lifestyle and he didn't want us to do. He was a bit older already, but we have 3. I would say I would have 3 foster children who until now call us mommy and daddy.
Oh,
And they're now all in Europe.
And I guess they're also, when they, talk about you, I'm presuming that they would probably just drop the word foster even. It would be mom
yes.
and dad. It's that's
Mom.
it. They
Yeah,
they
mom.
grew up with you.
Yes.
And I feel that, it's so much easier to love people who are from you biologically. Like, we're expected, when we're parents, we're expected to love our children wholeheartedly, and we love using the term unconditionally, right? And that's it. They're a gift. We embrace them. No matter what, we're gonna love them.
Yeah.
But having to take care of someone else's children, that is I would say that's a challenge.
Yes.
And I'm sure it comes with highs and lows. And one time I was speaking to your daughter, Sarah, akong sangay, and she mentioned that, for a while, because I think most of them were like around the same age.
Yes.
It felt like a big slumber party, but for not just overnight, but for years.
Yeah, for years.
And that was, it was fun in a way. They were friends. So I guess it also made a big, it was great help that they were friends from the beginning.
Yes, it was a big help. And they were also in our Sunday school. So the values, it's easier to raise children when you can raise them with biblical principles. So there were some times that they would like push it. There's a push and pull that, oh no, because their dad, this is what they learned. But then again, God has a way of working things out for us. And lumabas yung pagka-senior citizen. I forgot what I was going to say next.
Okay lang
Yeah.
talaga. So, with for me, it's like, so you have your foster children and growing up with your, we would say biological, for your biological children. And I was saying how it's on one side it would be like fun because they're all friends. And you mentioned about the challenge, and maybe it's also your faith that you would like to raise them the same way you raise your own children, and raise them with the biblical values, that and raising children that way well, for many of us Catholics, Christians, or other religions who have so or hold on so much to faith, we hope that our children would grow up with the values that we believe in.
Mm-mm.
You know,
I-
but Tita, that's 8, and you made room, right? And
Yeah.
um, I mean, I would say back in the days. Oh my God, I'm talking about, my dad is the eldest of 9 siblings. My mom is the 6th of 12 siblings.
Wow.
So, it's like
Yeah, those are the days when families
those are the
big.
days when
Yes.
it's like, yeah, that's normal. We come from a big family. And now it's like, oh, one child, the only child, as if we're imposing the Chinese
Yes.
rule of
One-
one child policy,
Yeah.
on our own, because we think it helps with finances, the practicality aspect, and all of that. But for you, I would say it's not that's something you planned.
No, definitely not. But this is, can I put this in? Now I remember what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
Just before we took in the children, we knew already their situation. I attended a church retreat, and we have all of these times when you're just meditating and stuff like that. And I was led to this verse, which was prophetic in nature, because I was asking the Lord, what are we going to do? And the verse came from Isaiah 54, I believe. It says, enlarge your tent, open wide your curtains, lengthen your cords, strengthen your stakes, and your children will occupy the land, and some other things. So when I shared that, they said, Lolette, that is a prophetic message for you
Yes,
in what you are
indeed.
thinking that you are being called to do. And so we took it and ran away with it. And so we said, okay, we will take in the children.
My God, that was very clear message, Tita.
Yeah, I know.
It's
it
like,
was very
how
clear
can you say no after having,
yeah.
after having received that?
that, yeah.
Yes.
So that was our basis when enlarge our tent. And later on, and I'm sure we'll go to that. That enlarge your tent became also prophetic for what we were going to do later. But for that moment when we were thinking of whether we should take in the children or not, that came into our mind.
And during those times, we're only still talking about 8 children right now. But at those times, because you've always been writing, were you already publishing books at that time?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I had a not even the blog blog was much later. I was just writing little notes about what I'm going through, and because I was writing also for the newsletter of the church and stuff like that. I love writing, but I started the blog when I got our 9th child.
The 9th child.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about her. Yes.
My baby.
Your baby. And I guess you'll always be the baby. I'm so sorry, Sarah.
Uh,
The youngest.
this one is our baby girl, which has always
baby
been our
girl,
baby girl.
Sarah, yes.
Because when
Is
we-
number 8.
Number 8, but she was our bunso for 13 years, no? 14
14 years. So until she was in high school.
She was
or
already in high school
mid-high school.
when
Yes.
Maki came around.
Mackie is the 9th
The
child.
9th away. Her name is Faith Makana
Mm-hmm.
because Makana is gift in Hawaiian.
Wow.
It was my eldest daughter who came up with the name.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So she's a gift of faith.
A gift of faith.
Yes.
And so tell us about that story with Mackie.
Okay. We came home quite late after a birthday party nearby. And so when we were getting ready not to go to bed, which is about 11 o'clock in the evening, our housekeeper started making yaw-yaw. Mom, sir,
Oh,
sir,
okay.
naibata, naibata.
Yes.
So we ran out, and immediately my husband grabbed the flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran out. Apparently, the guard heard, he thought it was a kitten outside the
Uh-huh.
gate. We had a security guard at that time because we were living in a neighborhood that was kind of sketchy. And then uh, he thought it was a kitten, but it was so persistent. And then the dogs were, getting so stressed. So he
Mm-hmm.
decided to peep, and he saw a plastic bag with a baby inside.
Oh my
He
God.
didn't touch. He ran back in and told the housekeeper
Mm-hmm.
who called us. And so when we arrived there, my husband was the one first. He was really like, I never heard him scream that way.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, you galit na galit ba?
Mm-hmm.
Ah! Ganun. And so I got the baby, and the plastic bag was halfway, she was outside already. So she was
Oh.
already getting blue with
So
the
she
cold.
was naked.
Naked, yeah.
Oh, only covered by a
The
plastic
plastic. But
bag.
they wrapped a pillowcase around
Ah,
her
yes.
just in case she would, I don't know, she poop or pee. But it was cut by, it was just a strip. And so she was blue because they placed, whoever put her there, they placed her in the bushes, and it was mud all over because it just rained.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so
This is already like a scene for
I
telenovela,
I know.
teleserye. Oh my
when
God.
we called for the maid. Oh, you get blanket, towel. So I got her. As soon as I put her against my breast, she stopped crying. I know, right? So pag telenovela talaga.
Oh,
As
gosh.
soon as I put her here, she stopped crying. And then so when we were bringing her inside, Sarah and Monchi, they just felt that it was so surreal to see a baby inside a plastic bag. So we immediately wrapped her up in the thickest towel we could find, and then we rushed her to Chonghua.
Chong
Sa
Hospital.
Hospital, yeah. And they told us that she was about 2 to 3 hours old only. 2 to 3 hours. So she still had the blood on her, and
Oh,
her
God.
umbilical cord was not cut properly, so it was kind of long pa.
We can speculate that she was probably like born at home or
She was
definitely not in a
No,
hospital.
it most
and-
likely what my husband theorizes is that the mother must have been young, maybe a student, ginawa niyang story.
Yes.
So, and then in that area, meron daw mga, what do you call that? Mananabang? Mga, not midwives.
Mananabtan? No. No, mananabtan is for prayers, right?
Like, in
Manghilot.
Okay,
Yes.
those who assist like that. And maybe that person said, okay, you just give me money. I will find a couple who will get your baby. And I guess she did that. But the baby was full term. That's why even until now, I pray for the mother and thank her because she did not abort. So this Maki was perfect.
Oh.
And when we found her, not a single mosquito bite,
Oh my God.
or ant bite because
No scratch,
no
no
scratch, no
anything. Not
nothing.
being touched by, as you said, insects
and
and
the miracle
all.
there, Sarah, is that there are a lot of stray dogs in that area.
Mm-hmm.
That night, no stray dogs. So that's the miracle. And a friend of mine from church texted me. She goes, "The Lord protected her until you can find
Amen.
her."
I would say yes. I totally agree. It's like how is it possible that for that night the conditions are just perfect?
Perfect. Then this is another thing that we know that she is really ours. When our neighbor, who was just across where she was placed, actually they were nearer.
They were nearer.
They didn't hear. They didn't hear the cries. It was us because we had a security guard. When they found out that we found a baby, they came to us. Sa amin na lang, can we have her na lang because we want to have a baby. And my
Like
husband said,
shopping.
yeah, like shopping. He says, we didn't want to give her up.
Yes.
Because I also, since I was 53 years old at that time, and then my husband was 58, and he just retired from government. And like Sarah was about to graduate from high school, and I was excited. Once she's big enough, I can now go on mission trips.
Yes.
Because I wanted to be a missionary. Like short mission trips that the church normally does. And I said, we can do this already. And then I called up our pastor's wife and go, we found a baby. Maybe that the assistant pastor and his wife who were childless, maybe they would want a child. So she said, oh, sige, I will tell them. So that week we were in Chongwa. We had a private room because my husband called up the SWD. And
Yes.
they said, oh, sir, we don't have any person. You'll have to transfer her to Vicente Soto.
Okay.
And he goes, yeah, but will somebody take care of her there? I said, no, we don't have any personnel available. This is midnight.
Midnight.
That's
okay.
why we know her birthday is October 4th. It was midnight. And he says, no, but maybe your wife can stay with her. My husband goes, no, I'm not going to let her stay in the emergency room of
So you
Vicente
become
Soto.
like the pseudo social worker,
Yeah, right.
whatever. yes.
And says, no, we will keep her here. So my husband got a private room, and we go, okay, sige, in faith, sige, we'll take a private room. Then that pastor came and with his wife and loved the baby. But they said, we will pray about it, whether this baby is for us or not. So we will meet you again after church the next Sunday. And then, so I go, Lord, if this baby is for us, give me a sign, a clear sign that she is for us. And this is the sign, Sarah. Get ready.
Okay.
Middle of the week, a social worker of the hospital came and said, Ma'am, PCSO is giving you 10,000 for the expenses of the baby. I go, we didn't apply. I don't think that's for me. No, it's in your name. How did it happen? We didn't apply. No, somebody from the emergency room knew the story, and then so they're giving you a check. Totally.
You didn't ask for it. It
I
just
didn't ask,
appeared.
it just appeared, and
Yes.
then I knew that was the sign that God
God will
will
provide.
He
Yes.
says, I'm going to protect this child. This is always His promise to us. So I started crying. I was
Oh.
crying, and then so I called up my husband. I was crying on the phone. So, what happened? He thought there was another emergency. So I go, no, the Lord answered our prayer. So by the time we met with that pastor after service, the pastor says, we don't feel any discernment that this baby should come to us. And my husband goes, sabi ko na nga ba, she's really for us. He was the
Oh.
one. So, but the funny thing is when
Wow.
we found Maki, it was a week after my eldest daughter got engaged to be married. So I was having that extreme.
Yes.
You have a daughter
was leaving.
about
well,
to get
in a
married,
way,
and then we
yes.
have this new one. So
Uh-huh.
for a year, Maki was in a crib in the middle of our living room. But
yes.
once Monica got married and she moved out, then Maki was able to move inside the room of Sarah and Savina. So there were 3 girls in the room.
Oh, wow.
So the timing of it.
This is, I mean, this is not the first time. Obviously, this is not the first time I've heard this story. I've also read it in your interviews or features in magazines and newspapers. And it always sounds like, oh my God, how can you not have faith? But listening to you right now, it's like I'm really having goosebumps. We'll probably have a bit of a break just to say hi to people who are saying hi to you, Tita.
Oh.
So, hi from El Salcedo.
Hi, Els.
There's hello, Miss Lollette from Eureka May Abril Espinosa. Then Justin Les Sarcos.
Oh, Jazz.
Hi, Tita. Yes.
Hi, Jazz.
And then listening and viewing, my friend says Macaro Gepuela.
Oh,
Am I
that's my
correct
best friend.
Oh, your
Hi-
bestie is
Hi,
watching.
yeah, she's in Manila. She's been my friend since grade 1.
Oh my God. And that would be like decades of friendship and
yes.
trust and and faith and everything else that just makes life interesting.
Yes.
Oh my God. You mentioned, Tita, that, you when you were thinking, oh, Sarah, your youngest at that time, let's say it was she was near to graduating from high school. Your daughter, your elder daughter, is now like about to get married at that time. Um, and you were looking forward to a life of, is it correct to say of, in the missions?
Yeah, in the missions.
In the missions. But looks like you have a different mission
Yes.
instead.
Actually,
Mm-hmm.
another friend of mine from church said, who was encouraging me to go on a mission trip, but when Mackie came into our life, she goes, Tita, this is your new mission field, taking care of this baby.
Yeah.
So it just shifted a bit. So.
Yeah. I mean, I can say this in jest, like, oh, as if you haven't taken care of enough babies and children and all that. But well, you have this wonderful story you carry with you, and I can really feel, the love, despite you sharing about one of the foster children deciding to go his own way, and well, he has every right to do
Yes.
so anyway, and he's an adult. But it looks like, and it sounds like, everyone around you, not just your children and foster children, have so much love for you.
Thank you. I'm blessed.
Yes, well, and having known you for a very short while, it's like, oh my God, there's so many stories already, and each story actually, speaks about blessing.
Yes.
And so faith is really a big part of your life, or your life is about faith.
Yes. I
And
like that.
And then
yeah.
you have a daughter who's also named Faith. What was the second name?
Faith Makana.
Makana, or Maki for
Mackie,
short.
yeah.
But Tita, you've done so many things. You've been mothering for for decades.
Yeah.
You've been doing business, I think, and helping your husband and all the life that you have together. How did the writing come in? When did you
When?
have time to write? Because people usually, it's like there's always the excuse for those who are, well, writers, or those who want to write. But an easy excuse is, I don't have the time.
Yes. Yeah, you have to find time. But I think I was more compelled rather than it was a decision I'm going to write. As you were saying that we all have stories.
Yes.
I started the blog when I had this best friend. She was the wife of the pastor, Marla Sharp. And we would write short blogs, and we share. She even
yes.
had a contribution to Reader's Digest. So we're encouraging each other. Because
So you're one of the OG bloggers of our
Oh my God.
time.
Oh, wait, it was, what was that, Mama? What is my Blogspot?
Blogspot. Okay, yes.
So we would share our writing, and we said, let's write a book together, because she had two teenagers, two boys, and then
Yes.
I had Josh and Sarah and Luigi and Savina, and they were all teenagers. So let's write about being mothers of teenagers, because it's like it's like riding a chariot, and you have or a stagecoach, and you're driving with so many horses trying to go in different directions.
Yes.
That's how I felt.
Uh-huh.
Having to drive them around.
That's a very good way to describe it. And visually, I'm looking at it. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I totally understand.
Yeah. Mom,
yes.
I have this. I have to go here. Okay, then, Mom, but I have practice here. And okay, sige, let's schedule it. And that time I was still driving, so I had to do all these things. But so we said, let's write, and so we started writing and sharing, and then, unfortunately, the Lord took her home. Okay, she was only 52. We said, let's come up with a book by age 55. Okay, so of course I was older than her, but I was like, I have to write really fast. And when she was going through cancer treatment, she started writing about her cancer treatment. And for me to be able to get into her blog spot, I had to have my own blog spot. And so I started blogging. And then when she passed away, I wrote about it. And then when I got Mackie, I started uh, I started a blog and named it Mom of Multitudes. Because that was the name that was given to me by our church, Mom of Multitudes. Ang dami kasi.
Yes.
So I kept that as my blog name. And so it started going that way. And then when there's one that people will say, oh, this is so nice. So I go, maybe I can try having it printed. Sunstar still had the magazine. So I would go send it. They would print it. My very first thing was I wrote 30 lessons I learned in 30 years of marriage. And it was just a list, which I wrote for our 30th anniversary. And I sent it. That Sunday, they printed it. So I was so encouraged. From that time on, people would tell me, make it into a book, make it into a book. When we reached our 35th anniversary, I wrote additional 5. And that was the start of my first book.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the first book, what was the title?
It's called Play Nice and Fight Fair.
Play Nice and Fight Fair. That
And,
still sounds like a book, like for this generation.
Yeah.
Would love to read.
Yeah. And then the connecting title is And Other Practical Lessons in 35 Years of Marriage.
Oh, wow. What a way to celebrate, or to, to celebrate your 35th anniversary.
Well, the book came much.
Let's not make it simple. Let's write a book.
No, but it came out. I was rejected several times. I did the usual writers, trying to be a writer.
This
and I
is
get
something
rejected.
people don't see,
Yeah.
before you probably decided to, write a book, or having achieved the success of a book. It's like they don't see the rejection or the doubts and the so many nights you probably have to revise, rewrite,
Yes.
stop, quit,
Or
start again.
You start questioning yourself. Am I really that good? Is this printable? Can it be published? And I had a goal of which publisher. And I only wanted OMF literature.
OMF literature.
Yeah,
Tell us more about OMF literature. I'm very familiar with them, but for our listeners, yes, share. Like, why OMF literature?
OMF Literature is a Christian publisher, so it only publishes Christian books, or books that have Christian principles, Christian values, and I wanted to have my book published there because somehow I felt that it would confirm the theology, and validate my writing as a writer who is a Christian. I'm not a Christian writer. I'm a writer who is a Christian. So I really wanted that. And another friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, Linny, who married my pastor,
Oh, yes.
the one who lost his first wife, who was my best friend, she became also a very, very good friend of mine.
Wow.
So it's beautiful. And she was working with OMF at that time. And she was encouraging me, like, she was my cheerleader. Ate, you have to pursue this, like that. And she really pushed for me to keep on submitting. And she even showed my work to Grace Chong, a woman I admire so much when it comes to being an author, who was also very encouraging. And lo and behold, after 2 years, they approved it for publication. So that was 2019.
Do you remember the time, or that particular moment when you received the news?
Yes.
How was it shared to you?
It was shared to me by email.
Okay.
And I didn't want to share the news with anyone yet.
Not yet, or not right away.
Right
when you
away.
read
And I
it.
wrote about why. I wrote it like, when somebody gives you a cake and it's so
Yes.
beautifully decorated, okay, you don't want to eat it right away and share it with anybody. You just want to savor the, oh, it's so beautiful, the intricate details, and you just want to appreciate it some more and keep it to yourself. That's how I felt about the news. Of course, the very first person I told it to was my husband, okay, and my children. But to post it on
With
social
to
media, or
everyone and share it with
I
everyone
wanted to
else.
keep it muna to myself and just savor it. And then after siguro about 3 days, I said, okay, now I can share it because nanamnam ko na eh.
Yes.
Nanamnam ko na. So yeah. Yeah, and then, but again, it was supposed to be launched, it came out 2019, December of 2019, and there was a whole schedule of activities of me joining women's conferences to talk about the book and to share the message, and then the pandemic hit.
Oh, yes.
Yes, so that was 2020.
I was like gonna say, so you became so busy, and like you've been pulled out of retirement in a way, and all that. But yes, there was the pandemic.
There was the pandemic, so it wasn't promoted. It couldn't be promoted except through social media. So I said, never mind. At least the message is there, And then during the pandemic, I'm going to go to my second book, if you don't mind.
No,
because since we're
go
in the
ahead.
pandemic now.
Go ahead, Tita. I
Okay.
really just want to, like, of course, to hear everything about, looks like your writing is like, it's, I would say it's not like a business that, how people would write for business.
Yeah.
Yours or it's like most of the things that you do or that are connected to you is about faith.
It's about
And it looks
faith.
like your books also are written or appeared at times where there's the blessing of
Yeah.
timing.
Yes, well put. Yes, definitely. So I never thought I could write for children because people would tell me writing a children's book is one of the hardest things because you have to, like, you have to simplify the language. And I'm very verbose. I use a lot of, I used to read the dictionary. Mac would know. I used to read the dictionary. And so it's not that you're dumbing down, but you're just simplifying. So I would have a hard time with that. And you have only a few pages in order to tell your beginning until the end. But this thing happened during the pandemic. We all our staff left at that time, so I didn't have a gardener to fix, and we were living in our old house at that time, and another house from where we found Mackie, of course. I was in the garden early morning because I was doing my devotions. And then I saw a snail because we had snails, we had frogs, we had dragonflies. Now,
Yes.
the pool was like a swamp.
Yes.
The garden was overgrown.
I can understand. Yes.
Yeah. So then I saw this snail, crossing my view, and it went over a twig. It went through a crack. I said, "Oh, wow, this snail is very steadfast. It wasn't bothered by the obstacles." And then the idea of writing the steadfast snail came to mind. And I said, I'm going to write this for my grandchildren. At that time, my grandchildren and Mackie, they were like 6, 7, I think. Mackie was during pandemic was 10. So she was the eldest among, then my
And
grandchildren.
then the grandchildren.
So I said, I'm going to write it for them. So I did it. I put it on a Word document, PDF. Then I sent it to my grandchildren. They were, Mamita, this is for you. And then after the pandemic, I said, maybe I offered it to I submitted, not offered. I submitted it to OMF. It got approved. So that was my very first children's book. So that came out 2022, I think, 2022. Yeah. Then after that, then I wrote the next one after 2 years. It became The Timid Turtle because my children are all divers and we are into conservation and, environment. And so I thought of an endangered species, which is the hawksbill turtle. And I wrote about the hawksbill turtle with a conservation slant, but also teaching them about how you can trust Jesus in times of challenges. Thus, the title, The Timid Turtle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was my second.
That's the second children's book.
Yes.
Yes. Wow. So, I mean, I was just gonna ask, like, where do you find inspiration? And you've actually, you've shared the story of the steadfast snail and how just a, moment like that for others that's ordinary. You're just seeing something happening
Yeah.
before your eyes, and then a story just
Comes out.
comes out and is written and even published and then read by many people.
Yeah.
And but when you wrote that, Tita, was it like was publication already what was in your head when you shared it with your grandchildren and what's this, and Maki being the eldest
Eldest.
of the, how do we call that,
That
The-
generation.
of that generation?
Yeah.
Yes,
Because she's only 2 years older than my eldest granddaughter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, it's like, I'm there's the, the inspiration and all that. And people, I guess, I'm sure there are those who write in their journals. It's like, do you have something to like, to a piece of advice to people who love writing and who just probably don't know how to get published? Like,
Oh, okay.
yes, I mean, what can they do with those who have probably written so many stories, but they remain unshared, and others love just keeping it to themselves, and we respect that. But there are also those who are probably wondering, like, how can I share this story to the world? And sometimes it just needs that information or someone who will just push you and encourage
Yes,
you and
yeah.
all that. So with your experience, it was a friend being your cheerleader and asking you to submit your work. So is this something that you would like to ask those who are interested, our writers, to
Yes.
just submit?
Yes.
But where and how? How do they start?
Okay. In fact, every time I have like book readings and stuff, someone would come in. I really want to share my book, and I have one. Okay, what's this? I always, of course, share my story through OMF in OMF because he's the only publisher I have experience with. And I know that I look before sa mga Adarna House. They have this, you go and submit your manuscript, and it's through email and stuff, and you just wait, and they have certain deadlines, like, okay, we will start reviewing manuscripts within this time, so you have to submit. So there are some requirements. With OMF, I also went through that. And they also had a date this way. But yun na nga, I was rejected twice because it wasn't yet, like, they were not really looking at books of that certain topic.
So
But
that's
my
understandable.
But my
Yes.
advice is also be persistent if you really believe in your story. And if it's for you, if God wants you to share that message, it will happen.
Again, faith.
Faith. Again,
Have
faith.
a little faith. No, sometimes just as you say, as small as a
Yeah.
mustard seed.
Yeah.
Mustard.
Have faith.
Yeah, it's it can do miracles already. But I guess one of the difficult thing with anything when to do with work, arts, even relationships, rejection.
Yes.
And it's a fact of life. Something we have to deal with almost every day. And, it can be just as simple as asking a question or asking, can you pass the salt? And if someone says no, that's already rejection.
no.
Yeah, but like when it's about your work, our work, something that you've worked hard for and you greatly believe in. Yeah. And then someone would say no to it
Mm-mm.
or think that it is not the the standard or the quality that
Mm-mm.
they're expecting or are willing to support. How do we deal with rejection?
To be honest, when I was younger, and I've grown in faith now, but
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger, I took rejection very badly. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, how dare them, because you sometimes have a very bloated idea of who you are, and I'm so magaling and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's harder
Yes.
for you to accept rejection. But when you come into a relationship with Christ and you know that everything goes through Him, in fact, one of my favorite hashtags every time I post about my writing, I always says, "Not I, yet through Christ in me,"
Mm-hmm.
because it's not me. So it's you separate yourself and don't take it so personally. And yes, maybe you have to be humble enough to realize that there might be something that needs some tweaking in your work.
Mm-hmm.
For example, my first experience with Play Nice and Fight Fair, I was fighting for after I do, then what? That was my working
Mm-hmm.
title, and I really wanted it. And then my editor says, "No, it's not gonna work. And I know I was fighting for it. It was my first
Yeah.
experience, and she gave me a quote, and I forgot who it was, but she said something about there is this writer who said that you have, as a writer, you have to be willing to kill off your favorite character.
Ah, yes.
Diba?
Okay.
And it just resonated with me because sometimes we just want to hold on to this idea
Mm-hmm.
that we have and think it's the best, but pala, it's not going to work. Okay. So they said the marketing team came up by vote uh, na Play Nice and Fight Fair, which is one of the chapters of my book.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it would be,
So, of course, it still came from you.
yeah, it still came from me, but it was not what I expected.
Yes.
And I had to let it go. And when I saw that, I said, okay, that's why I like going through the editorial process. A lot of people go, oh, you just self-publish na lang. Why do you have to go through a publisher? We can self-publish, which I was advised also. You self-publish na lang. But I go, no, I want to know, I want to learn through the editorial process. Because even until now, I used to teach English. I came from a very good school. I'm a graduate of Maryknoll, and I still am learning. So when there's two or three people still looking into your work through a microscope and say, "Oh, maybe you can write it better this way," you have to be open to, yeah, no, it's much better. It makes more sense. So it's a humbling experience, but it's one
Very
that
humbling. I
really,
was gonna say it.
yeah,
It
I really,
takes a lot of humility to be able to, first is to offer your work for scrutiny, and then be willing to accept the feedback that is given to you,
yeah,
good and bad.
yes,
That's why you're there, asking for help. And yes, I guess rejection also has a way of becoming our friend, because with experience, as you said, when we're younger, it's always like difficult, because again,
yeah.
it's like we have an idea of who we are, what we can do, and what we're good at, and
Yes.
it's like you don't tell me what I can and
That's so
cannot do. These
absolutely.
are things that you tell yourself, you hear people say, and you agree. But then with rejection in time, the more you experience it, the more you embrace it,
Yeah.
the more it becomes easy. And in fact, it becomes like, no, it's just a part of life.
It's part of your growth.
And if you believe in and have faith, then you'll think, if it's not for me, if it's not meant to be,
Precisely. Yes.
then
Yes.
it it won't be there. It's not gonna happen.
Yes.
So yeah, for I guess that's the biggest, I feel like so many young and, up those who want to pursue different arts, there's
Mm-mm.
always the fear of rejection.
Mm-mm.
It's like, why am I going to share my art?
Yes.
Who's going to love it? Who's going to
Mm-mm.
want it?
Mm.
And if they want it, then what? You know,
Yeah.
it's we have these.
Also, one thing I'd like to add is, if you want to write, or like you're going to write, oh, I want to write a book so that I'll be an author, and that I will be like J.K. Rowling, and I will, make money. No, not really. Okay, what if you're in another country, but here you don't really make that much. But it's also your motive. What is your motive for writing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I feel that having one that is clear cut. And I was asked that. I went through a workshop by Leonie Tanseng. And she came up with 90 Days to Your Book project. And I attended it because it was free.
90
days
days,
to your
okay.
book. It was her first salvo for that. So it was still free. And she made us go through a lot of exercises, very interesting. And if she does have it again, but she's based in Manila, but if she does have it again, I always recommend it. And there was one that she asked us, what is your, I don't speak French, but what is your reason for writing? And also had to think
Le
about
raison
what is your
d'être.
reason? Yeah, that one. How I say-
Yeah.
how do you say?
Is it the la raison de
D'être,
d'être?
d'être,
Yes.
the
Yes.
reason for
being.
being. Yeah, what is your reason for writing? And it was like a contest because they had a judge.
Your
And
why, no?
What is your why? Yes, that was your
Yes.
why. And I submitted my reason for writing is to leave my voice to my children. Okay, because that was my first book, yung Play Nice, Fight Fair. So I'm supposed to leave my voice, so even when I'm gone, they can still read about my
Yes.
story,
Uh-huh.
the advice that maybe I would not be able to pass on to them. They will see it in the book. So that was my reason. The reason is to leave my voice to my children. And now I'm leaving my voice to even more children. And that makes me even more motivated because it's like enlarging once again the tent.
Yes.
So enlarging my tent to encompass other children. Yeah.
So you're not resting, Tita. You know, people look forward to the retirement years.
I'm enjoying my retirement.
You are enjoying. Yes, I can see that. But I feel like you're not slowing down. Am I right? Or
slowing
this
down?
is this is how it's always been for you.
Oh, this is slow for me as compared to how my life was pre-retirement. I
okay.
used to travel. I mean, I was in marketing, I was
Uh-huh.
in training, and I would travel all over. My two older kids, si Gabby and Monica, would just see me. I had always a packed bag. I was separated at that time, and yet I
Yes.
still had to travel. So this time I have is quite slow for me because I write when I feel like writing. OMF doesn't
So you
give us
choose the
I
time.
I choose the time. I was painting until a few months ago. I would paint. I went through so many things. I tried.
It's
out a
like,
lot of-
yeah. So basically, you're an artist, I would say, and you're a creative. You know, it's
Yeah,
like you
a
can
bit.
do so many things. And in fact, you are a mother of singers, musicians,
Yes.
and I wonder where they got that from.
My husband would say, sa kapitbahay.
Sa kapitbahay, okay. What? Naging choir, naging choir master yung kapitbahay ninyo. Yeah. But did you sing professionally when
Yes,
or
I
still do? You did.
Yeah, I did. All throughout my childhood, my father was like, he would tell us, okay, I'm having visitors. We will prepare a number. So
Oh,
we'll have
yes.
to perform like dancing monkeys and perform. And some of my my siblings would, oh, I have to do this. Meanwhile, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So being the youngest, and we were five. But anyway, I went through Glee Club. I loved Glee Club, choir, singing group, church choir, and then ambivalent crowd. After I graduated, I joined the ambivalent crowd, and I asked my dad that, Papa, just give me 1 year.
1 year.
Because some other relatives were saying, Lolette, you might lose out on the jobs because everyone is already graduating. And then when you come back, well, I said, no, the job will be there. And lo and behold, after 1 year, I resigned from the ambivalent crowd. And when I applied for jobs, they would call me because they would see in my resume. Kasi that time, manipis lang ang resume ko kasi new graduate, no? And then they would see, member, ambivalent crowd. So they get intrigued. Who is this? At that time, kasi ambivalent crowd was still well known. Now
This was, is it okay if I ask around what year?
70s.
Yes, in the 70s.
I graduated from UP 78. Yeah.
Okay. So from that experience, Tita, you did not pursue na singing professionally.
No more.
But how it is with your children now? Maybe you can share with us. I've seen some clips online of your children singing, even your foster children included, like
Luigi.
having a jamming session, Luigi and Sarah. But of course, you're also the mother of one of the very known personalities in Cebu. Tell us about that. I don't want to be the one. I feel like I don't have the right to say it. Be the one to say it, please.
Stage mother mode.
Yeah.
And such a stage mother.
Yes.
Gabby Alipe, who's the vocalist and songwriter of Urban Dub. Okay, we're very proud of him.
And Cebu is very proud of him.
Yeah,
yes.
and they're known already internationally. In fact, for their 25th anniversary, they had a world tour. Where did they go? They went to Europe, they went to London, they went to Dublin, Australia. Yeah.
So jumping from one continent to the next.
They're doing so well. He started off in the church band. He started off as a drummer. Okay, so we said, ang drums. He had always a raspy voice. And he goes, Mommy, I want to sing. I made a song. Because there's always music in the house. Because his dad and I love to listen to music. And so we bought him his first guitar downtown.
Yes.
Okay, on his 11th birthday. So he would start playing. He basically taught himself to play the guitar, though I gave him the basic chords. And then there was Jingle magazine pa at that time. And
oh my God, those hits. I don't know
song
what was
hits.
That. Song hits?
Oh,
was that the term? Was
song
that
hits.
yeah. Yes.
Nabibili mo sa palengke. And so he would start playing, and he had a very raspy voice. And okay. I would always encourage him, but he was he would write poetry. Yeah, like for example, darling, look, how beautiful the clouds. Then he starts burst into song. He'll make up a song about the clouds, something like that. So, little did I know that he would become a vocalist. So the first time that we actually found out, he was playing in a band in Don Bosco, and they
here in Cebu.
In Cebu, yeah. So they have this band competition.
It's like Battle of the Bands.
Yes, Battle of the Bands, precisely. Ganon. And when he got to college, he also had a band. This was already, he was forming already the members for Urban Dub, and he decided to quit college so he can go full time. And of course, we found out I was hysterical. I'm not hysterical, but I was
very normal for parents, especially Filipino parents. Yes.
And my husband goes, Mahal, what's better na we stop him and lose the relationship, or we just encourage him? And I remembered what my dad did for me. He encouraged me. So he said, okay, supported him, and the rest is history, so to
Yes, and it
speak.
and it continues to
Yeah,
unfold.
yeah, he's doing well. And then Josh
Mhm.
wanted to follow. Okay,
Yes.
so he went to Manila also. By that time, Gab
Mhm.
was already in Manila. Then Josh said, "Mom, I want to have a music career." He had his own band. He said, "Okay." Then after a few months, Luigi also wanted to go. Luigi, my foster son, who who was a mixed VJ for a time
Mhm.
while he was still here in the Philippines. So nag-mixed VJ siya. So
For how long was that?
ang
The his I was
mixed
saying
VJ.
gig. Yes, as a
Well, I don't think it was
VJ.
even just a year,
Mhm.
maybe. Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be around our, well, my generation when we
Mm-mm.
talk about mix and VJs and
Yeah.
all
Oo,
that.
oo.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
And it was our world revolved around. Oh, si Gab has a gig here. Okay, my husband and I
Mhm.
will watch. Josh has also a gig here, so we'll watch the
So
gig.
really
Yeah.
cheerleader, stage parent,
Mm.
and supporter, assistant, and everything else
Oo.
that they need to succeed
Yes.
in music and
Yeah.
arts.
See, our eldest daughter naman likes to stay in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So when she was in college, she would produce shows
Mm-hmm.
naman.
Still
Still,
okay.
ano,
Just not on stage, but still related.
yeah, still
Yes.
related. And
Mm-hmm.
then her sister, Sarah, your
Mm-hmm.
tukayo, followed also her,
Mm-hmm.
her ate
Yes.
in music-related
Mm-hmm.
uh,
So
producing.
yeah, well, you know, it's still, how do you say? It's still not something that many parents would encourage
Oh,
um
yes.
in the Philippines.
Yes.
Pursuing a career in music, in
Mm.
arts, in
Mm.
theater, even in film,
Mm-mm.
unless you are a superstar,
Yes.
which means that you are expecting to earn really big fees
Yes.
for hits.
Yes.
Um, but there's always that fear that if you allow your child to pursue a career in the arts, that they might end up missing on the financial success
Yes.
that they could have achieved if they followed a different path.
But yes, but then they might not be happy.
I guess that's the thing, the
Yeah.
happiness,
Yeah. And the
you know?
fulfillment. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think that came from me being allowed by my dad
Mm-hmm.
to follow what I wanted at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Though I myself gave myself a deadline.
Uh-huh.
Okay. With them, I didn't give a deadline. But you
Mm-hmm.
see, try it out, see how it goes. Um,
And it went.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But Josh came back because Josh has a lot of other talents, and so now he's a chef.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly think that people who are creative are not just creative in one
That's so
aspect. They can
true.
be creative in
Mm-hmm.
different genres or different types of creativity.
Yeah.
See, Gab also draws.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from writing songs, Josh writes songs, beautiful songs. He's now they have a company that produces music. It's called Epicenter.
Epicenter. Yes.
Epicenter Entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
and so he's partnering with another guy, si Vince Lucero, and his sister Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. My God. There's so many. You know, like when people think about the creative and all that, we can be very limited in the way we think. And then there's also the way people think about, uh, it's always finance versus fulfillment. How do you build or create a balance? And but parents always have to ask, like, how do I keep my child happy? Others think financial stability.
Yeah.
Others think being able to pursue their dreams. And I guess there's not really one correct answer.
I agree.
With parenthood, there's no There's no book. Well, there are so many books written about being a good parent and things like that, but it's never the same for every child or household or
That
family.
is so true. You have 4 children, you have 8 children. Each one has a different personality.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, in
And then,
different way, even disciplining. In fact, I was starting to write a book about um, parenting. Okay. Uh, because I wrote out actually a treatise on how I parent, how I raise the children,
yes.
and I would give them this copy, the things I used to do for them to to raise them properly. Because I always said, train up a child. The proverb says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he grows old, he will not depart from it. So that's the basis of coming up with this parenting manuscript. And every time one would get married, they would receive a copy.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
So this is how I raised. This is the old school way how I raised you, and you don't have to take it, everything, but you can take the nuggets that you feel would be work for you. For example, they would tell me, "Mom, what was something that they said? Mom, how did you stop us from having tantrums?" You know?
Yes.
Okay, so I said, no, I would give you water.
Ah.
Because what happens is when the child is crying and crying, so I go, okay, he's crying, let him. And then after a time, the mouth will dry up. So you offer the water so the child will drink naturally. And once you have water, it breaks the buildup of the emotions. So he calms down. Even with my apostles, I would tell my son, you give him a bath, give him a shower, put him in the pool, put him in a tub,
Yes.
because the water is very, very calming. So that was one thing I shared with them. And so I have all these little things.
That's a very practical guide for me. It's like, I don't think that people think of that as the first thing they'll do when a child is throwing a tantrum. Others would even, you can, we have different ways, and you can even see how some parents have to deal with it in public,
Yeah.
which is something very difficult in front of a very judgmental crowd and all that.
But I went through so many mistakes. Sarah, I was like, I had to write letters to each of my children, and they were big na. I
Aw.
wrote and confessing. I had to apologize for all the mistakes that I made as a mother. And I wrote down each thing that I did to them, that I'm very sorry I did this, I'm very sorry I did this, like that. And then Monica calls me up, what is this? Are you okay? Are you sick? Because they thought I was giving my last will and testament already. And then Sarah also was crying over it. And then my eldest son, Gabby, calls me up. What's this? What's this?
Wow, different reactions.
Different
huh?
reactions, diba? So,
Yes.
wait, you don't have to say sorry for this, Mom, because that's the reason we came out this way. It's because you were teaching us. So it was something, at least I was able to confess my sins, and then they were able I asked for forgiveness, so that was the most, and they forgave me.
Wow, that's I think that's a very well again, that takes a lot of humility.
Yes.
Parents always think that they're above children, and so they think that they're allowed to make mistakes and need not apologize.
Yes.
But I hope and I can see that with this generation, there's always the willingness to acknowledge,
Yeah.
the mistakes. So you
Yeah.
belong to this generation, Tita. No, I'm just kidding. I am just kidding. I'm just saying that,
Thank
it's
you,
like
but no. But then again, on the other side, naman, I see how permissive some parents can be, and the child talks back, and
yes.
and that is something that it should not be. So I am middle. I was raised by what we call the silent generation. They're not that showy.
Not
So,
expressive.
not expressive.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a baby boomer, and I raised a Gen X. I read millennials, and now I'm raising a Gen Z. And So
Yes.
multi-generational yun.
My
And I
God.
see that there are just some things that are not acceptable. And
Mm-hmm.
I taught this to my children that you have to set right off what is the unacceptable and acceptable
Mm-hmm.
behavior. In this family, regardless if your friends say that, oh, but I don't do this with my parents, but here in this family, you have to do it. For example, when we moved here, Gab was only 10 and Monica was, I think, just turned 4. And I, they would speak in Cebuano
Uh-huh.
already. I said, yeah, yeah, oh, no, no, you have to say po because I'm
Mm-hmm.
Tagalog.
Yes.
So I had to force it. But mom, there's no
There's no po
opo
and
in ano.
opo
I,
in
I go,
Cebuano.
I don't care. You have to
Mm-hmm.
say opo.
Now on the side, your daughter Sarah's just like, this is why I say po.
Yes, because it's non-negotiable
Mm-hmm.
that you don't lose out the traditional behavior from
Yes.
our culture
Mm-hmm.
only because you're speaking another dialect. So it's
Mm-hmm.
still the opo to
Mm-hmm.
show reverence, and then that's why um, when they answer us in English,
Mm-hmm.
it and they can say opo. So Sarah, you ano? They cannot say yes. It has to be yes,
Yes.
mommy, yes,
Yes.
daddy. It
Mm-hmm.
has to have the title.
Correct. Uh-huh.
Mm-mm,
I totally agree with
mm-mm,
that.
yeah.
That's like that's your connection. That's
Mm,
also what's this? That's also acknowledgement of
yes.
who you're
Yeah.
speaking to
There,
and all that.
there
Mm-mm.
are 3 R's. With all the things that I've written about
Mm-hmm.
parenting, I said there's just 3 R's that we have to teach our children. And I classified all the things I wrote
Mm-hmm.
under the 3 R's. One is you raise respectful children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second, you raise responsible children, not just
Mm-hmm.
responsible for the environment, the as a citizen of the country, as a member of the community, as a family member, but also for themselves, how they take care of
Mm-hmm.
themselves, the the acknowledgement that who they are is more important than what other people say who they
Mm-hmm.
are. You know, they know that I always tell my youngest, Maki, that remember who you are. You are a
Mm-hmm.
child of God. You are royalty, and
Mm-hmm.
you're a member of this family. I always tell her that
Wow.
because she's adopted. No, I
Mm-hmm.
want her to know that you are part of this family. And the third is the child has to have reverence for God,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the whole foundation. So those are my 3 R's:
3 R's. So that's respect, well,
responsible,
responsibility, well, and
responsibility,
then the last one is
reverence for God.
reverence. Yes. Well, 3 R's. You just have to. That's actually very easy to remember, and being presented that way, it's just yeah. You can actually um put that in your pocket, and from time to time you just look at it, and yeah, okay. If I'm having a hard time dealing with a child, a teenager, or just a younger person in general,
Uh-huh.
it's like I guess those actually help in reminding them also like how to act and things like that.
Yeah.
But I also feel that children actually mimic, do, copy, um, yes, act the way they see the adults in their lives
Definitely, yes.
act.
We need to be role models.
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect them to act in one way and you're acting in a totally different way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to practice what you preach.
Mm-hmm.
So if they see you cursing, they will end up cursing. You
Mm-hmm.
can't get angry to them for cursing.
I mean, there's also those, what you'd say, conflicting, contradicting statements wherein people would say that, do what I say, don't follow what I do.
Yeah.
It's like, that
Yeah.
I guess that's how the government is. Like, we have all these
Yeah.
rules and
Yeah,
laws and
yeah.
all, but what we're actually seeing
It's
our
diff-
public servants doing
it's so
don't always match
yes.
what we are expecting for our country in terms of service.
That's why, for me, and it's biblical,
Mm-hmm.
that the family is the very foundation of everything.
Amen
So
to
if
that.
you're able to raise children who are responsible citizens,
Mm-hmm.
who have a love for country, they're nationalistic, they will be, and later on maybe they will become politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Although I always tell my children, don't be a politician. But
Yes.
then it will get better. The foundation is in the home.
So true. You know, there are those also like teachers already. Let's just say they're sharing their experiences in school and with the current generation of students and parents.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they're expected to do is to raise the children
Ah,
as if they don't need to be disciplined at home by their own parents.
oh my gosh, yes. I did a workshop for this school, and the teachers were there. I had to show them how you can deal with different generations of parents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because if you have a parent who is a baby boomer or a Gen X, they will go, sir, I have to tell you something that your daughter did, and then you will say, oh, I was like, I'll take care of that. I will talk to her when I get home. If you go to the younger generations or millennial, says your daughter did this. So what did you do? No, I had to discipline her. I was, this at home we do this. You should have just talked to her nicely.
Yeah.
But we've had this advocacy about education, about educating young children, and we see how difficult the role of teachers have become. I was a teacher
Correct.
for 7 years at one point in my life. Sarah was my student.
Students.
Yes, and
Uh-huh.
she and Josh had a hard time adjusting. Sometimes they're at home and they call me teacher. And ay, mommy. And then they're in the classroom. They go, mommy. Ay, teacher pala. So anyway, and it was a different time, and I could really impose. This is what we're going to do in school.
Yeah.
And I had to tell the parents, once a child is inside my classroom, you have to trust me that I'm going to take good care of your children, but I do it this way, and I'll explain to them how I do it. But the teachers that I got to talk with afterwards, especially in the workshop, they are having a hard time because the parents expect them to, no, you have to be patient. They have to express themselves, even though the child is already disrespectful. That is not. It's something like we have free speech, but you don't have free speech that it would undermine another person. It would hurt another person. You have to draw a line. There are boundaries that you have to know. How free is your free speech? So it's the same thing with answering. My eldest son asked me one time, you don't answer back. So, Mom, what is the difference between just explaining and answering back?
Valid question.
Diba? He was, I think, 12. It was just about, he was going to be a teen. I said, if I tell you to do something and you ask me, Mom, why is it like that? And I tell you my reason already, then that should be it. Because I will always have a good reason for telling you to do something. But if you keep on saying, but Mom, why is that like? But the others are like, that's answering back, and that's wrong. So they learned that these are the boundaries that we have in the home. If you tell me, oh, but my friend's family, they are do this. Well, they're not in this family. What do you want? You want to go to the other family, or do you want to stay here?
But isn't it also a lot of it, Tita, is communication?
Yeah, it's a lot communication.
And in some homes, as you said, you belong to, was I right to say this? You belong to a home of with the silent treatment, or
Yes.
that non-expressive or not very communicative. And I feel that some children are only waiting for their parents or maybe the elder siblings also to like start conversations so that they can feel comfortable also sharing their thoughts and just sharing even the time that they've had at school, what happened during the day and all that. How can we actually create a safe space for communication at home? We always feel that, we provide a home for our family and it's supposed to be safe. But I feel that a safe space for
Yeah.
communicating
Yes.
is something else.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, having a safe space means that you are listened to, you are seen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when a child says, I had a problem in school, so what happened? A lot
Mm-hmm.
of parents would say, ikaw kasi, dapat hindi
Uh-huh.
mo ginawa yan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a perfect parent. I
Mm-hmm.
am, maybe I'm the perfect parent for my children, but I'm not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done my share of flying off the handle and, you know, mga
Yes.
chinelas
Oh,
lumilipad,
wow.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned in the course of having so many children, and that's why I had to confess, I had
Mm-hmm.
to apologize. But it's more like, especially with my youngest, si Maki. And so, what did you do? How did you feel about it? It is more about their feelings, and and sometimes I want to butt in and say,
Mm-hmm.
kasi, okay, but I had, I have to restrain myself and make a
Uh-huh.
mindful effort not to say anything and just let her say it. And sometimes the teenagers now, she's at 16, has a tendency to ramble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I have to say, okay, okay. And then what happened? And I just have to force myself to listen. And
Mm-hmm.
then when she stops, and then I go, okay, so how did you solve that? But it's a learning process. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's not something that maybe partly when you read books on psychology
Yes.
and about raising children helped me, but it's uh, also getting ideas that
Mm-hmm.
would suit your personality, your values in the family, because not everything that you read can fit you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially a lot of
So
parenting
true.
books are Western.
Indeed,
Mm-mm.
it's that those are what's available.
Yes.
To be honest, like of course, when I, you know, earlier in the time of like being a mother, it's either I get gifts about parenthood or
Mm-mm.
motherhood, or
Mm.
you know, I bought some, and you can tell that sometimes doesn't really relate to my own
Mm.
experience
Yeah.
simply because the Filipino way of doing
It's
things
so
is so
different.
distinct. It's
Yeah.
different from the others.
Mm.
I would say that no one is better than the other. It's just different, and that's how culture is,
Mm-mm.
right? But again, we always have to learn, and it looks like experience really is the best teacher. And I was thinking that if you have in work or in art, we call them mentors, but in life, if we have people who have been before us, who have experienced the same experiences that we are experiencing but ahead of us, or that we are about to experience,
Mm-mm.
and them sharing, just more like a casual sharing, a
Mm.
storytelling, and we build the lessons or
Yeah.
rewrite the lessons for ourselves and rewrite that book for ourselves,
Yes.
I think it's like a totally different
Yes.
experience. I feel that some books also are too, how do you call it, are too righteous in a way.
Mm-mm.
uh, it's as if the voice of the writer sounds like they know
Preaching. Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
They know everything,
That's true.
and that as if they have never
Experience.
experienced making
Yeah.
mistakes. And I think for us in life, it's like it's always good to actually be reminded or be informed that hey, no one's perfect,
Oh, definitely.
and we have
We
to keep trying.
we will make a lot of mistakes, and there's a saying that the eldest is normally the most neurotic, and my eldest son goes, "Yeah, I know that," because they're the guinea pig,
Hmm.
and be
I'm the eldest daughter. Yes.
and I remember they asked my two older kids were saying, "Mom, how come you're more lenient
Mm-hmm.
with Josh and Sarah.
Uh-huh.
That was super strict. I said, because you
Mm-hmm.
know why? It's because I was such a new parent.
Mm-hmm.
I was scrounging. I didn't know exactly what I was doing. And uh, I made so many mistakes. But with Sarah and Josh, more or less, I, I kind of settled into being a parent,
Mm-hmm.
and I was older, I was more matured. I was also already walking as a Christian at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was learning from the Bible a lot of things about patience, self control, and gentleness and kindness.
Not easy.
It's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
eh. But then again, when you say something bad, immediately your spirit is convicted. And so you are more likely to say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that." So, well, just recently, I had to apologize to all of them in the house because I was making yow yow and everything. And no one's helping me. Blah, blah, blah. I was
Mm-hmm.
making the bogue and everything like that. And then when I got inside my room, I go, "Wait a minute. I don't think I was very nice." So I went to each one of them
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "I'm sorry. I was in such a bad mood and I shouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
put it on you." So even my husband had to apologize. It's we're all still learning kasi. So
One of the things that my daughter shared with us is that, my husband Nick,
Yes.
you've just met
Yes, I
him,
met in her.
and what she's shared, Shifra shared that one of the best lessons that she's actually learned is to be able to admit to your mistakes
Yes.
and be openly apologetic about it, and just accept the fact that you're not perfect,
Yes.
that you do make mistakes,
Yes.
and that you just hope to do better each
Yeah.
time.
That's why we
Mhm.
all need a savior. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So we will keep on making mistakes, but thank God that we we can get better. We can be transformed. There's something that there's in Romans that be transformed in the renewing by the renewing of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So confessing our sins, our faults, helps clear the air actually.
But, Tita, I now want to. Oh, before we continue, I'd like to say, there are a few people who continue to say hi.
Oh, hi.
Um, Hi from Ezekiel Suliano.
Hi, Zeke.
He's saying hello and he's calling you the motherland, the
Oh my
mothership, the
gosh,
motherboard, the motheration.
Mother,
Oh
he has
God.
all these names for me.
Yes.
And so when he enters the
Uh-huh.
house, he starts mothership, motherboard. I mean, it's so
Yes.
funny.
Oh my
It's
God.
so
I
funny.
obviously I personally know Zeke,
Yeah.
as we call him, Ezekiel Suliano, and I know his mom.
Oh.
Okay, I've worked with his mom as well. Pam. Oh my God, another mothership. Yes. Beautiful soul. Yes. And then there's also from Pollard, Mandirigma.
Oh, these are my adopted.
Oh,
I
yes.
have this group of
Mhm.
grown men
Grown men.
who I
Okay.
have. Pollard is one of them. I love him so much, and they're always in and out of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like if they're not around, where are they?
Yeah,
Normally,
it's a bit
uh,
quiet
on
without them.
on Sundays they're in the house, and then I even have one. He's a 50. I think he's 55 already. A 55-year-old American missionary
Uh-huh.
from Hawaii, and we met once in a worship night. It's church, and I was introduced to him and found out we lived in the same neighborhood. So I said, "Okay, I will bring you home." And he stayed in the house and never left. And
Oh,
and he would every morning I'd wake up and he's there. I mean, he was so enraptured by the story that we have because he also had a very difficult childhood, and so he would call me my Filipino mom.
Oh,
Yeah, give
he's
Filipino.
adopted
So he's
you.
also adopted. And so his picture, I have picture frames in my Christmas tree of all my children, right, and their spouses. And I put Matty Young is there. And Pollard, hi Pollard, would say, Tita, you have to put my picture
Ah,
in the Christmas tree also.
but that's so sweet.
Yeah.
It's like they're claiming that they're part of this family.
Who is that one
Yeah,
who calls himself Alipe? Charles.
Charles.
That's another of my adopted, even though
And
he's called.
adopted even your family name.
Yeah, he calls
Yes.
himself Charles Alipe. Oh,
Oh,
yeah, he's
so
so.
that would be like a stage name,
Yeah,
but more of a heart name or
yeah.
whatever,
They're really so sweet and
Yeah. Tita, I'd like to go back to, your two children's books. The Tim and Turtle, you said, and the
steadfast. Yeah.
Steadfast Snail. What are your hopes for these two books, I'm sure those who are listening or those who've just heard about it, I'm sure there are also those who have bought already your
Yes.
books. Like, share, like when they're reading or when they buy a copy to give to their child, what are your hopes?
Okay. The books that I've been writing, starting with Steadfast Nail, are more like interactive. They engage the child by asking questions within the story. What do you think Stella should do?
Uh-huh.
So I would love to see the parents reading with the
Oh,
child.
yes.
Okay. So that also, what do you think? Oh, maybe she should go over the log rather than go around it. And then the next page will show what Stella would actually
Yes.
do. It's the same thing with Timmy. Okay. I've written another book, The Hopeful Hornbill. It's about the Kalau.
Ah.
Does the same thing. And so all my
So
books.
wait, Tita, the hopeful
Hornbill.
hornbill, that's also out already?
No, not yet. It will
Not
be out
yet.
by September.
Oh, okay. So that's what's up next.
That's up next. Yes. And
Uh-huh.
I would like to see, at the end of my books, there are discussion questions to engage the child and the parent in talking about the book. And
Yes.
what do you think? What did you learn? What did you learn? So it would help strengthen their bond. Because reading always will bond parents to their children. And I know that because I used to read bedtime stories with my kids. And I really enjoyed it, and I know that they enjoyed it. So I would love to see parents more engaged in the reading of their children so that we grow or we raise readers. I think because of all the devices, children would read, but their attention span is so short, and they would. I'm still not, being a baby boomer, I'm not into ebooks still. And
You like the feel of the turning of the pages,
the smell of a
smell
good
of the
book.
book. Yeah.
That's something. So, something that you can underline. You can put an asterisk. You can put a note.
I
like
never
the-
liked doing that to my books. I wanted my books to look
Pris-
like new.
Christine, no, me, I would
Yes.
underline.
Uh-huh.
I want to
But
know-
I kept all, I mean, I'm not the type to like just throw them away or give them away. Even with my children's
Books.
books, and it's like some of them they're willing to let go, but it's like, no, I
Oh.
don't want to give away books. And of course, my husband will complain because
Ang dami na.
let go, let
Yeah,
go, But yes, so that the feeling of turning the pages.
Pages.
But I guess the important thing also is when a child actually sits on the parent's lap. Well,
or at bedtime.
yeah,
There's
yes,
lying down. Yeah.
and then the bonding
There's
moment.
the bonding. And then the parent can change the tone of the character depending on his what he's saying
Yes.
and stuff. So it also makes the parent more creative.
Voice actor
Voice
for the
actor.
night, yes,
Oo.
or every night.
I don't know
Anyway,
which child was that I was reading to you yata, and I changed my voice, and she looks at me just to make sure that it's still mommy beside her. It was you, no?
Oh,
Yeah, because I
yes.
think I was reading Billy Gross Gruff.
So it was Sarah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Aww.
yeah.
And I suppose that's also, I mean, that actually does a lot. You
Mm.
know, I mean, a book you read, but you don't really see it happening in real life. So
Mm-mm.
you imagine.
Yes,
And
it
so
helps with the
helps with
imagination.
the imagination.
Yes.
But that's also where it's also important the way, like writers create this world,
Mm.
and the children, for children's books, it's like then you start, even adults, we do
Mm.
that. We
Yes.
read and
Oh.
we are seeing
Mm-mm.
something in our head,
Mm-mm.
which is different from one head to the other,
Mm-mm.
because
Yeah.
obviously we have different
Yes.
interpretations.
Oh.
But yeah, it helps with the
And and
imagination.
that's why when you watch the movie,
Mm-hmm.
it's better they say you read the book first and then you watch the movie, because
Uh-huh.
once you watch the movie it changes. You don't anymore imagine, because
Mm-hmm.
you already have the images of the characters
So true.
in
Yes.
embedded, so you
Mm-hmm.
don't get a chance to imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better. And um
But then others would also end up complaining and being dissatisfied
uh-uh,
with
the
the film
version,
versions, because
because
obviously in books it's it's more
yes,
descriptive. Let's
yes,
just say, and so you've created a different world in your head,
yes,
and then you look at the film and then,
yes,
well, there are missing points. Why
yes,
was this not included? And
yeah,
obviously you have to put everything in 2 hours, or
mm-mm.
or
Or
a bit more,
maybe
and not.
cinematically it is not, it
Yeah, it
becomes
does.
non-essential.
So it's an artistic
Mm-mm,
decision,
mm-mm,
but yeah, so that reality to, that a child has the a very short attention span,
yeah, that's true.
and but reading, especially bedtime
Mm.
stories, would help build that bond between parent and children.
And that's why I loved your opening salvo. I
Oh.
feel it was just so brilliant, and how you said that there's a story, and
Mm-hmm.
there's the beginning, and then there's the end. But then again,
Yes.
some come in the middle. And I just felt that the way you worded, I need a copy of that, by the way.
Ah,
It's beautiful.
we're
And
we this is recorded, Tita,
okay.
and and I'm like, yes, I want a copy of everything that you're saying right now.
Thank
With
you.
this conversation, and
Mm-mm.
for those who are listening, if you've missed parts of this conversation, do not worry, because you can find us on YouTube. So
Oh.
that's Tops Media Center.
Mm-mm.
Follow, subscribe, Tops Media Center, and we have Up Next every Thursday. So this conversation is going to be available right away
Thank
after
you.
this
Mm-mm.
conversation. It's available on YouTube.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, YouTube is forever. Because
Yes.
apparently the Facebook, this live conversation we have on Facebook is only going to be here for 30 days.
Mm-mm.
And then, of course, radio, you know how it is. You've
Mm.
just heard us and then it's gone.
Gone, yeah.
So, but please stay and keep supporting our conversations regarding the arts, theater, culture,
Mm.
and shared stories. And who knows, you might find yourself in the stories that we are sharing. And I am here with Tita Lolette Alipe, a mom of multitudes, an author, an actor, I will add.
My
Yes.
one acting credit.
But it's still an acting credit. Yes, very important.
Mm.
And of course, there's still so many things that's, um, we're all looking forward to, Tita. You've just mentioned a book. What was that? The
Hopeful
Hopeful
Hornbill.
Hornbill.
It's also about forest conservation this time.
Yes.
So Timid Turtle was about ocean
Yes.
conservation, and then now we have forest conservation. We talk about illegal loggers and stuff. And I think I want just to add that in the books, your question about how do I see my books, what they can do. I also am an advocate for increasing vocabulary through
Uh-huh.
reading.
Yes.
So I use some words that are a bit not for the age group.
Uh-huh.
And
Something that they will try to
Yes.
check.
so
and,
either
or
they
ask
ask
their
the parents, but I also give a vocabulary. I put the the meaning of the word. Bec- Not the dictionary meaning, but just the meaning in context to the story.
Aha.
Lumabas ang pagka-English teacher ko. I have this other book that's going to be out by September also, The Hanging Hearts.
Yes.
And the characters speak a few Cebuano phrases because they're talking about the puso.
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 Okay.
The
hanging rice.
That's
Which
why
is, am I right? It's only available, well, or its origins is in Cebu, and it's mostly available in Cebu.
in the Visayas region.
Or Visayas. Okay.
So, and in fact, there are some places, I think, or even in Indonesia, they have this wrapped rice also. It's so even I have a glossary of terms at the end of the
wow.
book,
Yes.
so that they can. What does it? Dayon day. What does that mean?
Maybe you can write some of our school books. You know, especially this. I remember one of my favorite books in school. Are the English books and even the Filipino books wherein you can read stories, short stories, you know, because it's not your usual like teaching book. It transports you to a different world, and those were something that I can remember and really love. And maybe we can have you in those books, Tita. So, you know, I'm hoping, I'm wishing, and there's so many possibilities, and you've just mentioned two books already, two upcoming books, but you know, we're already at the end of this conversation. Can
Really?
you imagine?
I didn't even notice the
See?
time.
Yes,
You're
because
so
there
much
and
fun
there's
to talk with.
Oh, and then there's so many things we can still talk about, you know. And then I'm definitely gonna ask Sarah and yourself to you know to have another chat, sit down, and just talk about life. But yeah, I'm going to ask you the question around which this show has been created. So, what is up next?
Up next, with I'm turning 70.
Whoa, that's a great
Yeah,
milestone.
I'm turning 70 this September. So
That's
September,
a privilege,
yes,
Tita.
it is. It is, and so I want to continue writing as long as the Lord wants me to write, and I know that He will just keep on giving me ideas and compel my spirit to write about it if He wants me to write. And yeah, just to keep on writing. I would love to take up my painting, but if not, I've discovered something new on YouTube, which I want to try: neurographic art.
Wow.
Yes. And
Good
it can
term.
neurographic art. It's like you just write, you scribble things, and then you connect the intersections with these curved lines. You fill it up, and then you can color the spaces in between. It's supposed to be a stress reliever, and you can make it really. I've seen samples of it, and that's something I can do, because when I do acrylic painting, it just takes so much time to set up the easel, and it's very expensive also. So I said maybe neurographic art is also something I will try. I try to do new things still. Yeah.
So, but we're the two books that we're also looking out for. You've mentioned, was that the so we have the hopeful hornbill
and
the second
hanging
one,
hearts.
hanging hearts, which is puso. Yes, the puso.
Hanging hearts. And it has an alamat, or a folk tale about what is the origin of puso. And I really researched on it. There was I did not find anything written about the origin story of the puso, so I had to make it up.
So you have created one
Yes.
for us. And, the puso is also being, let's just say, promoted also here in Cebu,
we have
because
the
it is really part of our culture. Yes, you have the puso
So
village
village,
now. But also there are puso making workshops.
Yes, I went
activities.
to the one who handles it, because I had to research.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she brought me there. What's that space? White brick.
White brick.
the one in
Okay.
Mango Square.
And you had a workshop there.
I didn't attend the workshop, but I got to talk to the person
Mm,
who
okay.
conducts it, and
So you
apparently
interviewed
I had to
the
interview
workshop
people.
facilitator.
Stephanie was the one, and her friend Carla Adlawan was my classmate in 90 Days to Your Book
Ah,
project
yes, yes.
also. So si Carla, who was also Sarah's softball, ba- soccer coach
Oh,
in
wow.
college. So we had so many connect.
Yes, I guess that's how it is, right, in life, and especially here in Cebu.
Oh, Cebu is so small, my gosh.
Although our population is quite, we're in the millions already.
Yeah.
But we seem to always find each other.
Right.
Yes.
And I noticed that there are more and more migrants. I speak to about migrants as if I'm not a migrant, but I feel that I'm Cebuano
Because
already.
you've been here for
34 years.
wow, that's like half of your
half
life.
of my life.
Yes.
Yeah. And I love it here. There was a point in our marriage that we were thinking, seriously considering going back to Manila. And my sisters in Manila was, yes, you have to come back. You have to come back.
Yeah.
But I thought about it. There's so much benefits to staying here in Cebu. So we stayed.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Tita. Thank you for taking the time to share
My
your
pleasure.
story.
My pleasure.
And we
It's-
look forward to finding your books and reading them. And I really hope that those books find their homes in Filipino families.
They can
And
They can
yes,
find my
please.
book in the branch here. There's only one branch here in Cebu, Cybergate, second floor. We have an OMF lit branch here. You can also see them and order from Shopee and Lazada.
Thank you so much. So that's Mom of Multitudes and author LOLLÈTTE Alipe. There is a line we often hear about life in that it is a story. And perhaps we say it so often that we sometimes forget how extraordinary that idea really is. A story means that there is movement, there is change, there are chapters, there are beginnings we did not expect, there are endings we were not ready for. There are characters who enter our lives and change the direction of everything that follows. Sometimes there are chapters we only understand when we look back. And today, our conversation with Tita LOLLÈTTE Alipe has reminded us of something I think we all need to hear. A life does not stop becoming a story simply because we have lived many chapters. I think sometimes the next chapter begins much later than we expected. And sometimes the thing we are meant to create arrives after we thought we were done creating. Sometimes the story we're meant to tell is waiting for us to live enough life first. When Tita LOLLÈTTE began writing children's books, she was already in her senior years. I find that deeply beautiful. We live in a world that often tells us that we must begin early, that we must discover our passion when we are young, that we must accomplish everything before a certain age, that if we do not start early, perhaps we have already missed our chance. But life does not always work that way. Some stories need time, need experience, need the wisdom that only comes from having lived through joy, loss, responsibility, uncertainty, faith, and love. Some stories can only be written after we have spent years learning how complicated life can be. And perhaps that is why a children's story written by someone who has lived a long life can carry something different. Not because children need to be told that life is simple, but because they need to be reminded that life, even when it is difficult, can still contain wonder. Today, we also talked about the many ways a life can make room for children, for family, for people who need a home, for unexpected responsibilities, for faith, for a new calling, for a new chapter. And I keep coming back to that idea, making room. Because making room does not mean that life is always easy. It does not mean that we always know what we are doing. It does not mean that we are never afraid. It does not mean that we have unlimited capacity. Sometimes making room is difficult. It requires sacrifice. It asks us to change the life we thought we were going to live. But sometimes the thing we make room for changes us too. The children we welcome, the story we write, the responsibility we accept, the person we choose to love, the calling we finally answer. These things do not simply occupy space in our lives. They reshape the space. They change the architecture of who we are. This has been Up Next. I am Sarah Henderson. Until our next cultural ritual, keep making room for stories, for the ones we create, for the ones we inherit, for the ones we are still learning to understand, and for the stories that arrive unexpectedly, asking us to listen, because the next story that changes us may already be waiting. This is Up Next.